Hi, everybody. My name is Nathan Simmons, and this is Kaylee, and we are with the Renew Group. We are going to be handling y'all's benefits or Preston Wood Pediatrics benefits for the next year, or we have taken that over. And so we're creating this video just because we know the majority of y'all are kind of all over the place. And so we've been coordinating with Glenn on this year's open enrollment, and we've got a couple of things we're going to be talking to you about this year. With health insurance and some of the other additional benefits that are going to be available to you this year for this year's open enrollment. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to let Kaylee go over the health insurance, and then I will wrap up with some of the other additional benefits. Alrighty.
All right, everybody, this is your benefits booklet. You're all going to get a copy of this, or either in a printed form or PDF form in your email, so you can keep a copy of this. This is just the cover of the book. Let's see. Next page is your contact page. Your health insurance is going to be with United Healthcare. It's level funded. We don't have a group number yet. We will once we get the group finalized and implemented. And then all of your other benefits are going to be with Colonial Life. Glenn is going to be your contact for human resources. And then my name and contact information is under the Renew Group. I'll be helping you with all of your medical needs. And then your benefits coordinator that enrolls you will help you with your Colonial. They'll give you their contact information during enrollment. Next page goes over your 3 options for health insurance. So the first option you see there is your base plan. This plan has a $6,000 deductible. It is an EPO, so you do have to stay in network. There's no out-of-network coverage, but the United Healthcare EPO network is huge. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard what an HMO is. That's what you normally get on individual side. You have to stay in network on an HMO, but with an EPO, you don't have to get a referral to see a specialist. You can just, as long as they're in network, you can go see a specialist whenever you want, and you don't have to name your primary care physician. So if you just need to go to your primary care physician, you just have a $25 copay. If you need to go to a specialist, you just, as long as they're in network, you pay your $75 copay. All of your preventative on all 3 of these plans are covered 100%. So all of your, your well woman visits, your gyne visits, your physicals, all those are covered 100%. There's no copays for those visits. If you need to go to urgent care, if it's after hours, you just pay your $50 copay. And then all of the virtual visits are free. They should have a $0 copay on there. I'm not sure why they have a copay on these, this form here, but I'll get that updated whenever I send the permanent copy over. All of your outpatient labs and x-rays are subject to your deductible. And then you have a 4-tier drug card. So depending on different prescriptions, you can ask our benefit counselor, and they can tell you exactly what the copay is going to be for different prescriptions. Most of the time your generic drugs, that's the most you'll pay is at $10. Anything less, you'll just have normally a $0 copay. All your preventive drugs like birth control, and your vaccines, everything's a $0 copay. And the rates you see there at the bottom, those are your estimated weekly payroll deductions. Now, this is based off every eligible employee. Those rates will change some depending on who enrolls. It's kind of hard to gauge knowing who's going to be interested, who's going to be enrolling the first year. But those are the estimated payroll deductions there at the bottom. The next plan is almost an identical plan to your base plan. The difference is it's a PPO plan. So you have in and out of network coverage. Your copays when you go see your primary care physician and your specialist and your urgent care are all the same. Your out-of-pocket max is the same, and then your copays for your prescriptions are the same. But this coverage, you have in and out of network coverage on this plan. The next plan is more of your Cadillac plan. You've got a $1,500 deductible. You've got lower copays on your office copays and your specialist copays. You pay a $20 copay when you go see your primary care physician. And then your specialist copay is the $30. And then, of course, your virtual visits is $0. Like I said, I'll get that updated. And then down at the bottom on the buy-up plan, for employee only on the buy-up plan is $104 a week. And like I said, these are estimated payroll deductions. We'll know the exact payroll deductions after enrollment is finalized. That is it on the health insurance. There is an app that you can use to access your benefits and look at your explanation of benefits, look at your deductibles, how much, if you've gotten close to reaching your deductibles. You can look and see which doctors are in network. You can estimate costs of service. A lot of people think that an X-ray is an X-ray or MRI is not an MRI. It's the same wherever you go, but that's not true. You can go one hospital that might be closest to you and you can pay $2,500, or you can go to a hospital that's more in a rural area and pay $250. I've seen that happen before. So this gives you kind of more a cost estimator. Next is just at uhc.com, how to activate your account, where to go, how to search for doctors. Like I said, your virtual visits are a $0 copay. Those are free. And it's not just for minor instances. I know a lot of people use it for, if you have strep throat or if you've got pink eye or if you cut yourself and you've got an infection. Those are great too, especially not having to stop and call your, make an appointment with your doctors and take off work and make an appointment, sit in a doctor's office for a couple hours just to get an antibiotic. That could diagnose you over the phone right there. You pay a $0 copay. They'll call your prescription into your pharmacy and you pay your copay for your prescriptions. But there's also dermatology embedded in these plans, and those are a $0 copay as well. There's mental health visits in the teledoc, and there's back and neck pain management built in as well. And let's see. The next is with Nathan. I'll let him take over the next part.
So you guys have had Colonial Life in place for Preston Wood for a couple of years now, I believe. And anyway, the Renew Group is going to be taking over the administration of all of the benefits. And so not going to be entirely new to you on the additional benefits on top of the health insurance that's going to be available to you all this year. But we did want to go over them just a little bit, just because we weren't sure, what just, how well that had been communicated in the past. And so, I'll say this, there's a big reason why we're continuing to offer these voluntary benefits in conjunction with the health insurance. Kaylee and Glenn both have, worked really hard on this, on wanting to make sure that, we had some really good plans, put together for you guys. And so, we pretty much offer voluntary benefits and just about every group that we work with, because Glenn wanted to make sure that you guys were covered, or at least had the opportunity to be covered the best that you guys can. And so, we offer, or what will be offered is basically, some additional supplemental benefits, and it's going to be through the carrier of Colonial Life. And, the best way I can explain supplemental benefits is, there's health insurance. Supplemental is health insurance. It helps fill the holes of what health insurance may not pick up. And so it's really there to help out just with, some extra costs on the health insurance. And so, I will say this, with just about every group that Kaylee and I deal with, we pretty much always place supplemental in place simply because, just last year, the leading cause of bankruptcies in America was due to medical bills. And, what's crazy is, of those who filed bankruptcy last year, 78% of those people had health insurance. And, health insurance is great, but unfortunately there are some holes here and there, just, contingent on, maybe where you're getting treatment and, I mean, there's a lot of variables. And so now y'all may have health insurance right now, currently, maybe through, your spouse or something like that. And, let's say in a perfect world, you had the best health insurance in the world. And you didn't owe a dime to the doctor or hospital. Unfortunately, we don't see that a lot. And I'm not even sure that exists anymore. But, let's say we had the best health insurance in the world and we didn't owe anything to the doctor or hospital, but we were still out of work for some reason, we're on maternity leave or we're having to recover from some surgery. And I think we could all agree that the majority of America lives paycheck to paycheck. As I don't imagine many of y'all are volunteering for a living. You get up every morning to go to work and earn a living for you and your family. Well, that's going to be one of the first things we're going to talk to you guys about on the supplemental side, is how to protect your paycheck with short-term disability. And we're typically able to show people how to do it at less than $10 a week. And so, the analogy that that I always use is, let's say you went home from work every single day and you press down the lever or you went home from work every single day and you had a toaster at your house. And let's say you press down the lever on this toaster every single day you went home from work, like you were clocking in and clocking out. And you knew as long as you did that toaster was going to pop up 3, 4, 5 grand a month. And the question I would ask is, would you guys protect that toaster in case it broke so you could replace it with another one that does the exact same thing? And I hope your answer would be yes. Well, that's exactly like a paycheck. You've got, for those of you that are working hard, you've got a paycheck coming to you each week. If all of a sudden, if your paycheck were to break, if that's a concern for you, I would encourage you to ask questions about short-term disability. All right. And so that'll be kind of item number one on the supplemental side that we're going to visit with you guys about. You guys will also have availability to look at survivor benefits through life insurance. We will have term life and whole life available through Colonial Life. And so I'll just say over half the people we visit with, they tell us they don't have anything. The ones that do tell us they don't feel like they've got enough to sustain their family's lives for 2 or 3 months after something happening, much less being able to put somebody in the ground. The crazy thing is, while we get told why people don't have anything in place because they don't know where to get it, which kind of blows me away because I feel like that's every other TV commercial, but I feel like that's part of the problem is, a lot of people don't know where to start. And so, what we see a lot of here at the Renew Group is, we don't see a whole lot of people that are being sought out that are just looking for, 15 to 20 grand to cover burial expenses or something to set aside to cover a mortgage, heaven forbid, something were to happen and you wouldn't want to leave behind that burden for your significant other. And, so that's going to be the great thing about the supplemental stuff is, guys, on the supplemental side, I mean, that's just going to be icing on the cake with what the health insurance that Glenn and Kaylea and I, we put together. But let me recommend 2 things to you. On the supplemental side, if you guys care about your family at all, look at protecting your paycheck with short-term disability, especially if the money that you make, with Preston Wood, you live off of. And look at a minimum of 15 to 20 grand of life insurance if you don't already have something in place to at least have set aside just to cover burial expenses. I mean, that's the one form of insurance, being life insurance. That's the one form of insurance will be used at some point in your life. Why would you not have it? We are required to have car insurance in the state of Texas, but we may never be in a car wreck. And, but I still see people with no life insurance. All right. So just something to think about. Now, as far as everything else goes, it's going to be available to you guys. That's kind of where the holes of health insurance come into play. And I'll just kind of tell you why we offer those or why we're going to be offer those. And, the 3 biggest holes, really the first one is got to be cancer. Cancer, unfortunately, is a very big hole, with health insurance. And, the health insurance will pick up a lot. But part of the reason that we offer cancer insurance as a supplemental benefit is, personally, I mean, it means a lot to me just because my son's mother and we had a scare a couple of years ago. And I'm not sure if any of you that are watching this video have ever been around that scenario personally before. But, minimum cost of cancer is about 25 to 30 grand out of pocket. And that's if you have great health insurance. Because what most people don't realize, unless they've been around it before, is on average about 2/3 of cancer costs aren't even covered by health insurance, which is really scary just because 1 in every 2 men are being diagnosed and 1 in every 3 women are being diagnosed right now. I would venture to say, unfortunately, all of you, either probably know somebody who's either currently going through it or who's been through it recently. Unfortunately, it's a very prevalent problem. And part of, Kaylea and I's job on an education perspective is, there are going to be some instances, heaven forbid, I hope nobody ever has to deal with this, but, there are some instances where, the health insurance will work very well. It partly depends on, what plan you have, where or what kind of cancer you have, where you might be going to go get treatment. But one of the major issues is that the majority of treatments for cancer are classified as experimental treatments, which health insurance does not pay for. But that's why we offer a cancer policy in conjunction, because cancer insurance does have a specific benefit set aside to pay for experimental treatments. And that's, the cancer policy is something that we're typically, again, able to show people how to protect themselves at less than $10 a week. All right. And also on top of that, another reason is, just to kind of give you guys an idea, when we had our scare in our family a couple years ago, we had actually looked at going to MD Anderson down in Houston. And you take into account travel and meals and lodging; those are all things health insurance isn't going to pay for, but a cancer policy does. And so in some instances, you're down at a facility for a few weeks at a time, and last thing you want to do is send your significant other to go get treatment by themselves, and you're going to go down there with them. So every little bit helps. All right. And so as far as the other holes go, you guys will be able to look at a critical illness policy as well. That is what we call our heart attack and stroke related policy. That's primarily what I would say it is used for, which are two other really big holes with health insurance. It's great to have health insurance if, heaven forbid, something like that were to happen. But the issue is it's only going to help you while you're in the hospital. And the big reason of why we offer critical illness is because most people, when they get released from the hospital, they're not right back on their feet doing what they're doing. And so, what I'll say about the critical illness insurance, for one, is if you have family history of either a heart attack or stroke, I would encourage you to ask questions about it, just because the chances of you having something happen later on in your life go up drastically. And so, and the way that all of Colonial Life's policies work that will be offered to you guys is if you get something at whatever age you're at right now, it stays that rate for the rest of your life. And so again, if you've got family history of a heart attack or stroke, I would really encourage you to ask questions. Now, and so going back to that scenario of, let's say, hey, you're in the hospital, that's great, and health insurance is going to help out. But then when you're released, there is typically a couple months of recovery time. And, I actually had a coworker of mine, his father had a heart attack, and he was in the hospital for about a week. Sure enough, got released, and he was actually out of work for about 3.5 months once he got released from the hospital. And thankfully, he had a critical illness policy through our brokerage. And as soon as he had his heart attack, he was actually written a check for 15 grand that went straight to him. And he was able to use that money to keep making the house payment, keep making the car payment, and keep his life afloat till he was able to go back to work. And thankfully, his medical bills were covered by his health insurance he had as well. So that's going to be something that I would say the main thing is that Kaylea and I want to make sure that everybody understands is that, even with the health insurance and the Colonial stuff, just from an education perspective, we want to make sure that you guys all understand that regardless of what may happen to you or your family, you guys can negotiate with hospitals. You can pay them $5 a week and they can't do a single thing to you. But try having something crazy happening and try negotiating a house payment or a car payment. Good luck. That's where what we do comes into play. All right. So last few things that'll be available through Colonial, you guys will actually be able to look at a accident policy as well. Pretty much covers on and off the job for pretty much anything medically related or just really anything that was unexpected. I've had it covered from a bee sting to a broken toe. So you'd be surprised how often people use this even when they got kids at school playing sports. And so and then the last thing on the hospital confinement policy is it's a policy that is designed to basically pay you money if you were to be confined to a hospital. And so now granted, you never know when you're going to be confined to a hospital, and honestly hope you never will. But this policy is mainly designed to help you get to your medical deductible in the event that you needed to get your deductible. So for those of you that are going to be discussing the health insurance, and let's say your deductible $6,000 or the $1,500. If in the event that you were to be confined to the hospital, whether you're about to have a child or having to have a surgery or something happens where you got to stay overnight and you don't feel like you could pay $6,000 to get to your deductible, so coinsurance kicks in. That's what that policy is designed to do, is to basically cut you a check to get you to your coinsurance. All right. And so last thing that I don't even think that we've mentioned to Glenn, and this may or may not have been offered to you guys in the past, but something that we are actually going to be able to do for you guys just as a thank you for doing business with us is y'all are all going to receive a wellness card, or it's basically a discount card that you can use for prescriptions on discounts on prescriptions, pretty much anything medically related. The cool thing is with the card, you can actually use it for discounts on movie tickets, Six Flags, SeaWorld, Disney World, and you can even use it on Rangers tickets and some other sports tickets. So it's a pretty neat little card that we've been using for a few years that you guys are all going to get one. There's no cost to use the card. It's basically you type in a zip code and it shows you a list of places that accept the card depending on what you're trying to use it for. I had a buddy that used it at the Omni Hotel in downtown Houston for $100 a night. If y'all know anything about the Omni, that's dirt cheap. And then where we see the most benefit from this card that you guys are all going to get is really on the prescription side. We hear a lot of good stories about prescription discounts. We had a lady a couple years ago that she was having to take this cancer medication after she was in remission. That was about $1,200 a month, and she was able to get the medication down to $275 a month with this card. And so it's going to be one card that you guys are all going to get, or every single employee for Preston Wood is going to receive. It's one card for your whole family. And so basically, the way the card works, again, you type in a zip code, shows you a list of places that accept it. And so there's not a name that's attached to it until you guys go online and register it. And so what I will say is this, because it's not specifically tied to Preston Wood Pediatrics, and like I said, it doesn't have your name on it. So if you don't think you'll use the card, give it to somebody, give it to a friend or a family member or somebody that you think might find some use out of it. So, but that's pretty much it on the benefits review. We're actually going to be in contact with a bunch of you. So for those of you that have not been through this process before, we are going to be coming out to the actual Preston Wood facility at the main location and actually meeting with people one-on-one there. But for those that are not going to be at the Preston Wood location, or in Cedar Hill, we are actually going to be reaching out to you by phone. So we do have to talk to everybody one-on-one, just have everybody elect and decline whether or not you're going to do the health insurance and all the other benefits as well. So we do have to, talk to everybody, even if you don't, even if you guys aren't going to do anything, that's fine. We just have to have everybody elect or decline. So if you guys have any questions at all, you can feel free to reach out to Kaylee or myself. Kaylee's contact info was on this video here. And then if you guys need to get a hold of me for any reason, you can get with Glenn, and I'm sure Glenn can kind of relay the info as well. So we will be in contact with you guys, whether we're meeting with you guys in person or we're visiting with you over the phone. We'll be reaching out to you guys over the next couple of weeks or so, and we look forward to visiting with you guys. Thank y'all.